Hello, my name is Keith Haswell and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this video on awareness of greatness, your greatness. And this is the second half of a video on self-awareness that originally went for 1 hour and 15 minutes, but I deemed that to just be too long in one session, so I've broken the video down into two segments. And the first segment was awareness of impact, and this one, awareness of greatness, goes into things in quite a bit more depth and with more complexity and with cosmic themes. So just sit back and relax now and enjoy the journey with me here on this one. So self-awareness is becoming aware of the fact that you are building thought forms within yourself as these attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings, and they prompt your decisions and choices. So you are faced with circumstances and you make decisions and choices that many times are not what you would want to be and do and say and express. So all of us are in a spiritual classroom. All of us are in a spiritual classroom, but God and Goddess love you and they want you to be successful. And to say, listen, you can become better than that. You're better than that. You've lived hundreds of lifetimes to get where you are today. Don't you want to become ambitious about where you're heading and where you're going and who you are becoming? Don't worry about who you've been and where you've come from and the past and those events of the past. Don't try to roam around there and try to fix it all with that ex or that boss or that daddy who didn't do the right thing by you, or that mummy who abandoned you, or that relative who interfered with you in some way. So there's just so much there that's going on whereby you are becoming more aware of self. More aware of self and aspiring spiritually to become more of who you really are. And you don't even put that name on it. But you don't have to. That's life. Life and God and Goddess are the same thing. So they're everything. They're all that is. And they're there to help you to understand that you have impact. And you can become more aware of that fact. And that you can create a connection between, make a connection between the impact that you're having and the impact that reality is having on you and the raw materials inside of yourself that need processing and changing and transforming. And that's what you do through all of those events of your life, and through the introspection and reflection side of it all, you are becoming more of the giant that you truly are. So that's what the name of the game is, whether you believe in God or not, or whether they play a very small part in your life or not. Only in times of need or whatever do you call out for a bit of help or guidance or something. You can become more of who you really are through learning the art of meditation. And by learning about astrology, you start to learn about yourself, because you are made up of planets in houses and planets in aspects and planets in movement and so forth. So you are creating a pool of possibilities there, because all of these thoughts and feelings that you have, whether they're tinged and filtered through the negative beliefs and attitudes, and the thoughts and feelings are there as thoughts. They are real living things. You have 50,000 thoughts a day. So you create 50,000 thought forms a day, which are living conscious beings. Conscious, not self-conscious, but conscious at a very low level, to aspire to express the will of the creator. And so that's their task, is to create a set of events and conditions that are a reflection of those attitudes and beliefs and those thoughts and feelings. And they prompt decisions and choices whereby you are having impact outwardly and impact is coming to you inwardly. So you are creating thought forms all the time, and it's important to understand that you've got all these thought forms there as possibilities through the 12 houses of your horoscope. Now, the thing that takes them from possibilities to a smaller group of probabilities is the energy that you apply to it, the amount of mental energy that you apply to it. I mean, you're accustomed to the fact that somebody in another room can have an impact upon your computer in a different room through the wireless transmitter. And so they can take over your computer, or they can work with you on the computer and so forth from another bedroom. Well, surely you must believe that that energy of the computer having impact upon another computer through an interchange of energy, you can make the equation here and the connection between those thoughts and the events and conditions of your life being there in the pool of probabilities, because you are sending the power of the mind. You are thinking about those conflicts and those tensions and those negative beliefs and those attitudes and so forth that are in there. You're just trying to strive for your needs, and there's just been a little bit of lack of guidance there about what's going on in your consciousness and how you can rectify the whole situation. So the idea is that you've got all of these beliefs in there which are incipient events and conditions depending upon the amount of energy that you build up within them. And when they get to a certain point, they're ripe for plucking as an expression of an event that is along the lines of thinking. If it's an event of low self-esteem, well, then you'll experience some event that makes you feel more lousy about yourself. If it's to do with a belief about finances, then it'll show up there as a financial event. If it's to do with communication, it'll show up there. If it's to do with security, it'll show up in the home. If it's to do with fun, it'll show up in intimacy. It'll show up in the 5th house. If it's to do with the job, it'll show up as there in the 6th house. If it's to do with health and dietary matters, the 6th house, and so on through the other houses of the horoscope. But I don't want to go on for too long here. I just want to get to the point about the fact that you've got all of these thought forms there inside of yourself that are incipient events, and they've gone from possibilities to probabilities because of the action of your mind. Then the thing that determines the timing of the explosion of that event into time and space are the movements of the planets. So that you've got all of these thought forms that are connected with one of the 12 houses. You've got the idea there through the needs, through the energy in that house. Those thought forms belong there in that particular house of your horoscope. So when you've got Jupiter going through the 12 houses of your horoscope, it takes 12 months to go through a particular house of the horoscope. And in that 12 months, it'll bless all the events and conditions of that house. So if it's in your 1st house, it'll bring a blessing to do with personal interest and initiatives. Things will go well for you. If it's to do with finances, it'll improve your finances. If it's to do with social activities with relatives and neighbours, you'll have a lot of fun and the expression of love. If it's to do with the home and the family and the domestic side of life, it'll bring about a lot of joy in the home and through the family. If it's to do with children, you'll have a lot of fun with the children. If it's to do with sports, a lot of fun with the sports. If it's to do with the 6th house, it'll be to do with the job and a lot of happiness through the job, an opportunity for changing in your job, starting to take care of yourself with a better diet and that sort of thing, loving yourself more. And 7th house, loving your partner and your spouse, the opposite, learning to know each other and to be intimate and close and trusting and caring and sharing, and to be able to express love and to care about that person and to get to know that person and to feel known through that person and to build up trust through that person and commitment through that person. So there's a lot there in the 7th house, and the 8th house is a lot of transformation and change, matters relating to sexual aspects of yourself, and the 9th house through travel and higher education and so forth. So there's a lot of attitudes and beliefs there through the 10th house of career and aspiration and the 11th house of friends and so forth. There's a lot of events there that are in the form of thought forms, and they're activated by Jupiter going through there beneficially, and a lot of happiness through that time. And that's what I tell you in the horoscope that I do for you. I tell you where Jupiter is sitting in your which house for 12 months, so that you can know that the events associated with that house, things will go well for you. And now we come to the impact of Saturn. Well, Saturn's sitting in one of your houses for that period of time, and longer. It's 2.5 years with Saturn in a house of your horoscope. And I tell you this in your horoscope reading as well, the free one. And so you've got Saturn sitting in a particular house of your horoscope. Well, what are you going to experience if Saturn is in the 5th house of your horoscope for 2.5 years? You're going to experience trouble in romance and love and the social side of life. It's not a good time for forming relationships. So you're going to find unhappiness through your children. So a child will get sick or something like that. There's some unhappiness there to do with the intimate and sexual side of your life, where you're not feeling able to express yourself intimately and enjoy yourself there in intimate expression of your sexuality. There's frustrations with regard to plans for social activities don't turn out the right way. It brings trouble and so forth. All Saturn is trying to do is to get you to use your mind wisely and economically. It's energy. And the energy comes to you from the planets and from the sun and from the earth itself. So it's energy, mental and emotional energy that you are using, and Saturn is trying to say to you, I want you to use that energy wisely. So Saturn in the 3rd house, you'll have a lot of depression, and you'll learn to control that speech and not be argumentative and so forth. And Saturn in the 2nd house, you'll have problems with your finances. You'll have to shape up and take care of your finances and look after it and plan things out and keep account of things and budget wisely and so forth. With Saturn in the 7th house of your horoscope, there'll be trouble in partnerships and marriage, and could be a breakup in a relationship during that time. So there's a lot of impacts here that you are registering, but it's just a matter of trying to make it all into a sort of an understanding of things on a spiritual side, so that you can start to perceive life from a spiritual perspective. That's what the task at hand is through my intensives, is to learn to have spiritual perception where you can start to see life from a spiritual point of view. So Saturn in the 10th house, career and business will go badly. Saturn in the 9th house, there'll be delays with travel overseas and things like that. Saturn in the 8th house, joint finances are horrible during that time. Saturn in the 11th house, problems with friends, death of friends, sickness of friends. Saturn in the 12th house, secret worries about the career and business, and sickness of a parent, hospitalisation of a parent and so forth. So it's important to understand this is the purpose of life. The purpose of life is to become self-aware. Self-awareness is so important, to become aware of the fact that you have impact and that others have impact upon you, to make the connection between the cause of those impacts and to start recognising them and owning them, and stop blaming mother and stop blaming father. They're only human. They're allowed to make mistakes, and they're not perfect, and neither are you. You don't have to be. So forget about trying to be perfect. That's a trap. You're normal, you're natural, you've got problems, you've got difficulties inside of yourself, you've got hard times controlling those energies that you generate inside yourself, of depression and worry and fear and doubt and insecurity and low self-esteem and self-pity and guilt and shame and anxiety and stress. I mean, this is where our life is at. And it's okay to be part of the crowd, and it's okay to be normal, but you've come to my website because, and to this video, because you're ready for your next step forward on the path of evolution. You're ready to take yourself in hand and to start expanding your consciousness through an intake of knowledge. Your task is to develop wisdom and to be able to make the connection between the raw materials and the outer events and circumstances, so that your events eventually speed up, so that you have an argument today and you have an accident on the road the next day that tells you 3rd house, cars, 3rd house, communication with relatives. Ooh, I was very argumentative yesterday and today I have an accident on the road. Connection. I have an injury to the hand or the arm. Connection, 3rd house, the rules the arms and the hands. So to start to see life from a spiritual point of view is a wonderful blessing. To know that God and Goddess love you and they know your name and they want to have a relationship with you. They're friends there. They want to be friends and co-creators to help you to live up to your powers and your strengths and your talents. You've got a lot of goodness, truth and beauty inside yourself that's just itching to get out. And so it's all right to be part of the crowd, but you've decided through an aspiration to your higher self, I want help. I want to find my way home. I want to know who I am. I want to become more of who I really am. I want to expand my understanding about the nature of reality and my place in that reality. I want meaningful purpose in my life and direction in my life that can give me something to look forward to in the future instead of dwelling in the past. So that's what it's all about. It's all about becoming more of who you really are. And these planetary movements help you to have those experiences and those impacts that make you think about that and make a connection between your emotions, your attitudes and your beliefs, your thoughts and your feelings, and the circumstances and conditions out there that are the result of these thoughts and feelings. It's not a matter of the impact from the event and then you think about it and develop feelings about it. You sure do, but the cause is there in the first place that caused that altercation or that unhappiness or that breakup or that accident or that loss of the job or that financial crisis or that argument with a relative or that fire in the home or that breakup of a relationship or that injury of a child or that loss of a job or that health crisis or that separation in a relationship and divorce and court cases and legal matters and death of others and trouble making changes within yourself and high sexuality to deal with and wanting to expand your understanding and get to new horizons and knowing that there's more there for you to aspire to and to be well respected in the community and to aspire to greatness. You are a map maker. The fact that you're watching this video means that you are a map maker. You've chosen to make the maps. You're a spiritual leader. You've chosen to make the maps for others to follow, and you don't have to meet these other people. You do so through your own being. It's being that's important, not what you're doing or have done. It's what you are being now and into the future. That's important. What is your being? Are you living by your blockages, your fears and your doubts and your insecurities and your problems with self-esteem and your negative beliefs and attitudes about all the different areas of your life? Or are you living by your principles and values? Principles of integrity and trust and commitment and honesty and the ability to enjoy life and joy and wonder and expanding and wanting to become more of the giant that you truly are. So you've got all of these aspirations there within yourself to aspire and become more of the giant that you truly are. And that's what God and Goddess want for you. They're experiencing consciousness that we can't relate to. We're just the babies in the universe. We're on the first level of self-consciousness, and there's an infinite number of higher dimensions of consciousness above ours that we can't relate to what they're experiencing and what their tests in life are. But one thing's for sure is that God and Goddess have got infinite love and infinite intelligence, and so they're wanting to experience life at its full through all of their creations. And we're on the first level of this game and mystery tour that God and Goddess have got us all going through. But don't think that you get to the higher levels and then it's all sitting around on clouds playing harps. It's there as a complexity that's far vaster than ours, and that they're becoming more of who they really are through tests and trials and hurdles to jump that we can't comprehend, that belong on the higher astral plane and in the cosmic side of things. I might release, if this is your first video, you might think I'm crazy, you know, I'm releasing such information so precipitously and so early in the piece of your exposure to these things that this can't be true, that I've got such a future, that I grow beyond the human level altogether. I'm having trouble dealing with this level as it is, you say to yourself. And so I certainly don't need to be able to aspire to some other sphere of activity and consciousness. But anyway, this is where you are, this is where you want to grow, this is where you want to stretch, this is where you want to become more of the giant that you truly are. So it's time to really realise and become aware of the fact that you are having impact, that reality is having impact upon you, that there is a cause there inside of yourself, is the attitudes and beliefs and your thoughts and your feelings, some of them negative, some of them positive. The negative ones producing negative events and painful events, the positive ones producing loving events and joyful events, and events of abundance and happiness and wonder and awe and magic and miracles and so forth. So everybody's experiencing these things, negative and positive. We're not perfect, we're human beings. And we don't need to be perfect. God and Goddess don't want us all to be perfect. They like us being here for a while so they can enjoy this activity that we're experiencing together with us, but to help us to do a better job than what we've been doing up to date, because they're a bit wiser than us. They're a bit more intelligent than us. Their state of consciousness is far vaster than ours. I mean, who would you want to be your best friend? Your best friend, you'd want it to be the most powerful individual in the world. So it's time to understand that you are a spiritual being, that you have a living, loving, breathing relationship with God, Goddess, all that is, who's just anxious to become your friend and to get to know you and to help you to become more of the giant that you truly are, and to express that infinite love that they have to get it out. They have to get it out. And they have to experience themselves from a lesser perspective so that their greatness can be recognised, so that they jump into your body and see themselves as magnificent and glory in that and wonder in that and go into bouts of awe and ecstasy. So you've got to ask yourself, who do you want to be? Do you want to be somebody who can really get things going? Personal initiatives work out well, your finances are all working beautifully and you're very secure, you communicate well and have a loving relationship with relatives and those close to you as neighbours and so forth. You have a loving family environment and a lot of joy in the home with those who cohabitate with you, a lot of happiness with the children, or with romance and love and fun and sports and entertainments, amusements, restaurants and places of amusement. Abundance helps all of that, of course. And have meaningful work and good health and looking after your body and right diet and exercise, and to have an intimate and close one who's special, the partner. But don't think that that partner is the only thing that can make you whole. Too many people jump into a relationship of marriage thinking that that person will make me a whole person. And they've got to realise that the task at hand is to first of all become whole, and then to find somebody with whom you can share that wholeness. That's the object, not to jump into a relationship because of sexual attraction, or he's a good hunk or she's a good sort, and not to have any secrecy surrounding the relationship to start with and so forth, and get off on a good footing and trust, and to be able to build trust and to develop that intimacy with that close one. God and Goddess want to be there to enjoy that with you and to share that love, and that's what God and Goddess are. They're love, massive love, and they want to share that love. It's unconditional love, and they want to share that love with you because they care and they want to share. And they want to co-create with you a better reality that you'll enjoy more. So the way to do that is to go through my intensives. To get stuck into my CDs, I'll give you all the 12 CDs out of my first book, What Really Matters on Astrology, Meditation and Reincarnation, free of charge. And I'll send you the printed pages of the first 15 chapters or 10 chapters or whatever, so that you can have a read of it as well. You can print them out and read them. And I'll help you to expand your understanding through those CDs about astrology, how it all works. And astrology is the most scientific presentation of occult truth in the world today. So to understand astrology is to understand yourself, know yourself. That's a vital need. And to be able to go through all of the other areas of your life and to be able to grow and reach and stretch and become more of who you really are. So that's what God and Goddess are there for, and they're there to become your partner and to help you become more of the giant that you truly are, and to develop better experiences in life through polishing up your raw materials and turning them into assets of values and principles instead of liabilities as negative attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings and worries and fears and anxieties and doubts and insecurities and low self-esteem and self-punishment and self-sabotage and self-undoing. We're pretty nasty to ourselves, aren't we? So anyway, it's good to talk with you and good to have this opportunity. Get into my intensives, be serious about the videos, watch them over and over because you'll get an inspiration from them. And I'll look forward to putting out more videos, so subscribe to my videos and I'll be able to get a little bit more crazy as we go on and be able to help you to understand that you're a very complex being and that the complexity of the future is far vaster than the complexity that you're experiencing now. And so it's a wonderful journey that all of us are on, and we have the most powerful individual in the world, God and Goddess, all that is, to be our partner and to help us become more of the masculine and the feminine side of ourselves all in one, to be in our being and to become more self-aware. It's just so important to understand that you have impact and that impact happens upon you. Connect those causes, polish those raw materials, the attitudes, beliefs, the thoughts, the feelings that will prompt more positive choices and decisions and bring about an interchange of energy between the mind and those incipient thought forms that move them from probabilities to actualities. Bang! Impact, connection, introspection, reflection, transformation and change. And if you don't transform and change yourself, then your higher self will organise crises in your life that bring about introspection and change. So we're all there, growing and reaching and stretching, but you are a map maker. You are a giant spiritually. You're ready to take the next step forward in the evolution of your consciousness. And so you've found your way to my website. Don't let yourself down now by just drifting away into mediocrity again. You can become a giant and unfold your understanding and become a co-creator with God, Goddess, all that is, the most powerful entity in the universe, apart from the underlying principle of love that is completely unknowable and will always be unknowable and unknown even to God, Goddess, all that is. They're always aspiring to become more of it, and we are always aspiring to become more of our higher self. And our higher self then aspires to become more of God, Goddess, all that is. So as we become more of our higher self through the use of our soul, remember our soul and consciousness are identical terms. The entity that gives us our consciousness is our soul. Our soul is total awareness. and it has total awareness. And through our soul, we have access to total awareness, intuition, and spiritual will to be able to become more of the giant that we truly are. Abstract mind. This is what my intensives will draw out in you, is the abstract mind, the intuition, and the will to become spiritual. And that's the task at hand as a map maker. And in the process of bringing about change within yourself, you bring about impact and change within those all over the world that you will never meet. You have impact upon them emotionally and mentally, who grab onto your choices and your decisions and your aspiration and your willpower and your determination to be more aware and to develop your self-awareness and to become more of the spiritual giant that you truly are. That's what the task at hand is to become more of that higher self, to develop spiritual perception, to become serious about your spiritual growth. Ultimately, it's the only game in town, the spiritual game. So all of us are in life, all of us are spiritual, all of us have a piece of God and Goddess inside of ourselves, and as we become more of that piece of God and Goddess, which is our higher self, so our higher self becomes more of God, Goddess, all it is. So it's an eternal journey of growth through ever higher levels of complexity and intelligence and higher consciousness. And our soul gives us our consciousness, so it's a partnership between your soul, which is a solar angel, part of the angel evolution, and you as a personality. So the idea is to become soul infused as a personality, and you do that through becoming more self-aware, more aware of your impact. And let's work together as a team to help you to have a more positive impact in your life and a more positive impact throughout the world as the map maker that you are. And let's work together as a team through my intensives and go all the way through to the third intensive, and that is an amazing awakening. Just read the testimonials at my website. That is an amazing awakening about what's going on in the world today spiritually. I can't just spit it all out here. I've got to build you up for it to be believable. I mean, what I'm talking about here today is quite a lot. If this is your first video, it's quite a shock to see that I'm talking about such complex issues and such higher levels of consciousness. Wow, that's just awesome to think that we can aspire to all different levels of higher consciousness. It's taken us hundreds of lives to get where we are today, so we're pretty thick. We're pretty thick, and it's going to take a while longer perhaps to become a perfected human being. Being, not doing. And that's the key. So it's good to work with you here anyway, and I hope you get stuck into my intensives and have a good time going through my material, and we'll have a bit of growth together and a bit of fun with God, Goddess, all that is, as you become more intimate and close and tender and loving and caring and sharing with God, Goddess, all that is, because they just want to be there with you because they reckon you're worth it. They've just sort of whispered in my ear, this person is special. This person is a map maker. I want you to send them to me because I've got a little message for them that I love you, we love you, and we want you to be much more than what you are at the moment. You can be a lot more, and you can create a much happier reality for yourself, and it's quite an easy task. But there's going to be parts of yourself that are not going to like being transformed, and they're going to resist it. And that part of yourself is the ego. The ego, it loves to wallow in the self-pity and the fear and the anxiety and the doubt and the insecurity and the low self-esteem and the stress and the tension and the conflict and the hurt and the pain and the guilt and the shame and so forth. So don't worry, you're human. It's okay to be human, but it's time now to become superhuman and to develop your spiritual adult. And that's your future. And you start working more and more into becoming a spiritual adult, mostly between the age of 50 and 70, and to become wise, to develop wisdom. So that's the task at hand, and you're not going to do it just through experience, and you're not going to do it just through an intake of knowledge. You need a combination of the both to become wise and more self-aware. So an intake of knowledge and your experiences that you've had in life and experience in life will help you to develop wisdom. And then you can make better choices and decisions when you're wise, and you can make a decision and a choice. I want to go home. I want to go home to God, Goddess, all that is, because I know that they love me. And I know that they're the most powerful particle in the universe. And they can help me to become more of who I really am. And they're willing to be my partner. And that's going to be an exciting partnership. And so get stuck into it. It's time for change, time for introspection, time for reflection, time for transformation and processing. And all my intensives and videos are there to help you to achieve that. I thank you for your attentiveness, and I look forward to working further with you. Thank you.